Hey guys, Kyle here. So, just before the show starts, I wanted to mention our Patreon. You can pay us $1 a month as a thank you, as a tip. You can pay $2 a month to get access to one of our bonus content shows, episodes 2 days early, and a secret Discord chat where all of our Patreon donors get to go and hang out and talk with us directly. Then there's a $5 tier that you can donate to get access to a whole bunch more content. We have multiple bonus episodes on there. So please check it out. Patreon.com/itgetsweird. We don't advertise, we don't make money. So check it out and throw us some money if you think that would be cool. Thanks.
Welcome to It Gets Weird, our comedy show where we explore the unusual, the unbelievable, and the unexplained to try to make your world a little weirder. I'm Nile.
And I'm Kyle.
And in the room this week, we have an extra special returning guest.
Who?
Who?
Oh, there's a guest this week?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited. Who's it going to be?
We got Todd Farmer from Games.
Which games?
Isn't he the one that makes like Oblivion and Skyrim
You
and
are
shit?
you are thinking of Gabe Newell.
Okay, yeah,
So-
you're right.
Who's Todd
Hey,
Farmer?
Todd Farmer's a horror director. He directed Drive Angry Shot in 3D, I believe. What Todd made Skyrim?
Gabe Newell.
Oh, you're okay. Yeah.
There is a Todd. You're talking about the
Yeah.
Todd that the McElroys constantly say
McFarlane.
Todd. But I don't know that guy's
Not
last
Todd
name.
McFarlane.
I haven't heard that bit in so long.
Yeah.
I can only picture him saying
See,
Theodore.
Kyle knows the answer and he's just fucking with us.
I genuinely don't remember this guy's
yeah.
name.
Anyway,
Todd Skyrim.
yep, Todd Skyrim.
Was-
how did we even get into this? I don't remember what happened.
You brought up Todd Farmer.
You're the one who's kind of
You
throwing
yeah,
it
said
that was
out.
the
Todd
guest.
Farmer was
Yeah.
going to be on the podcast, but you seemingly didn't know who that was before you said it.
Niall is just throwing Todd's left and right, and the whole time we have a fucking email.
I think this whole thing has been my introduction.
Yeah,
That
this
was
has been your
introducing me.
introduction.
Okay.
Jules is back.
Hi.
Welcome
Yes.
back, Jules.
And see, this is what happens when you don't just say your name. We devolve into lunacy.
You do great bits. I make you guys better by being here. You're right.
Thank you. You're like, I believe that we coined a term for this exact situation, and it is called goof lube.
That is correct. Yes.
You're right.
I forgot about that as part of canon. Yes, you are the goof lube.
Now, Niall, do you mind if I start this one off with a little email that we got?
I love it.
All right. So we got an email from Jordan. And Jordan says, "Hi guys, I'm writing a quick little email to say thank you for being a reliable companion over the last few weeks and months. I've been going through a really rough patch as of late, but your jokes and stories have been a very welcome distraction to the noise. It probably doesn't feel like it all the time, but the work you guys do is more than entertainment to many of your listeners. It's an escape from the real world into something much weirder and more wonderful. Your show has been a great escape for me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. As it happens, we seem to have a ton in common. Apart from, and that's spelled Tonne, so you know it's not from around these parts."
Oh, okay. So this is an international email,
Yeah.
or maybe an expat. You know.
Apart from the weird side of life, I collect comic books and watch a lot of wrestling too, the only WWE so far. You guys fucking rock. Please keep this ship sailing for a long time to come. I'm an English teacher in Bo'ness, Scotland, which is part of Falkirk, right in the middle of the country between Glasgow and Edinburgh. And that's how you pronounce it, baby.
Yeah.
Just down the road are two impressive sculptures, two horse heads known as the Kelpies. They're a local landmark and low-key tourist destination in my town, and the related myths and legends have a lot of currency here. They were modeled after two real horses, big bastards apparently, called Baron and Duke. I absolutely love when your episodes touch on Scotland and our deep heritage of myths, so a full episode on the Kelpies would be absolutely incredible. I seem to remember one of you mentioning the Kelpies in a past episode, but saying that it was a topic for another day, as there's a huge wealth of information to go into. I'd be more than happy to help you out in your research if you ever do decide to feature these slimy, creepy boys in a future episode. Maybe there's some local knowledge resources I can dig up for you. Hell, if you wanted a local to drop in for the show, I'd be happy to make a cameo, though I'm afraid I have none of Kyle's wit or Niall's sex appeal.
Those are the things they pull out. All right.
Spot on.
Okay.
I could go on and on about what your show has done for me recently, but suffice to say it's helped out more than you could guess. Keep doing what you're doing. It's absolutely fantastic and never fails to make me smile, and I'm sure many others could say the same. I'll soon get around to signing up to the Patreon and joining you guys on Discord. I didn't add that last part. That was not. They actually said that. So
okay, that wasn't another ad for the Discord. Okay.
no,
No, first of all,
yes,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Second of all, Pope, I'm coming to you. I've done more for the human race, over 300 episodes than you've done, and I think that we just got a new Pope recently.
Yeah.
So short tenure, but I'm coming for you, Pope. Bringing good to mankind through podcasting.
That's right. And yeah, I don't know. I just thank you. Whenever I get an email like that, I feel valid.
I don't know. This guy didn't mention me at all.
That's true.
So fuck that.
The timing of this email did not
What?
include you. Yeah.
What? He didn't know I was going to be on this episode?
We do book and promote guests like weeks
Yeah.
in advance.
That's
so
true.
This has been on the calendar for months.
I did not find out day of.
Yeah, it definitely didn't just. Jules definitely didn't walk into my office while I was working at like 4:55 and be like, "What's the topic today?" Oh yeah, do you mind if I join in?
I'll do that.
Yeah, that is the amount of effort it takes here, folks. Not to demystify the process, but yeah.
And I also just want to say Scotland's really cool. I've been there once, and I would love to go back. Let's go to Scotland.
I've never been, and I would love
Do
to
a
go
Scottish tour.
Yeah, I want to look. I want to go dip my toes in the bogs. I
Yes.
believe the bogs are still wet, at least for now. And I would love to get going there.
The bogs remain wet, I do believe.
Well, all I know is you have to dry the bog moss to like make the peat, to get the peat
Right.
going.
And then you
Jordan, please send a status update on the bogs.
Yeah,
Let us know
Jordan,
how wet they are.
More than information on the kelpies, I need status updates on the bogs.
bog update.
Whenever you join our Discord, we'll make a dedicated channel for bog updates.
update.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Unfortunately, this week we're not in Scotland. Man, that would have been
that's so
fucking
good. That
wild
would've
if
been
I had been
really
like, you know what, let's just do the kelpies this week.
great
completely
coincidence.
unrelated. Because I don't know if we've actually made this canon on the podcast. I don't read emails ahead of time. Kyle
I
handles
generally am the one who screens them, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Everyone start sending emails just targeted at Nile and make
that would
Nile
be
read
real.
all of them.
Hey, listeners, that would be like you and me talking about Nile behind his back. And how
Whoa.
funny would that be? You could say all kinds of funny things. You'd be like, Nile is cute or sexy or whatever you want to put in there.
I guess I do bring the sex appeal. However, you bring the jokes to the comedy
That's
podcast.
me.
So who knows which one's more important?
First time
No, I
somebody.
think,
sex
he
appeal-
said wit, didn't he?
there.
wit.
Wit.
So you're just dumber than a bag of
Yeah,
rocks.
there we go.
That's not
'Cause
But
I-
hot as hell.
But I bring the wit. I bring the sex appeal to an audio medium.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's
that
look,
takes something really special.
That takes quite the himbo.
You're right.
Thank you.
So this week we are doing a cryptid. I got a
Oh.
cryptid episode here for you, and it's gonna probably cover a couple cryptids. We're basically going to talk about a rash of wolfmen in Kentucky.
Kentucky's got Wolfmen, huh?
Kentucky's-
That's not the
there's-
place I would have fingered. Sorry,
I'm not
what,
going to
bad
touch that with
choice
10
of
foot pole.
words?
But I will say one of the main articles that I was looking at that got me kind of down the rabbit hole of this was an article entitled "Kentucky has a werewolf problem."
Oh, okay.
So that kind of is a good place to start. Kentucky, I guess, has some real problems with lycanthropes and werewolves.
And
makes-
I'd love to be the solution.
Yeah.
Well, it makes it sound like everywhere else in the United States just like lives in the world of like, oh, werewolves don't exist.
Yeah.
And then in Kentucky, it's just a fucking nightmare. They
It's like
just
a
have
cartoon
so many.
Transylvania where it's
Yeah.
like you're in like a normal village and then you like take a step over in Transylvania and it turns into nighttime with bats flying everywhere and thunder.
Yeah, and werewolves just everywhere.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about a couple Kentucky wolfmen.
Okay.
And there are a couple that have been pretty prominent in there. We'll get to some of the big ones, but I want to start with some of the history of Wolfman lore both in Kentucky and elsewhere.
I do want to ask, and you'll probably
Yes.
get into this, but like in my mind, a werewolf and a wolfman are two different things.
Yes, and that is a thing that we will get into a little
Okay.
bit, and that has a bit to do with some of the mythology and lore of the area.
Okay.
The kind of history of where these ideas come from, because you already know a lot of the kind of common ancestors for these kinds of things, but we will put them in context of Kentucky, because I guess they have a kind of unique background
They're
with
attracted
wolf people.
attracted to the bourbon.
Yeah. literally some of the stories I have take place in Bourbon County.
Hell yeah.
So let's get started. There are quite a few different names for these wolf-like humanoids that exist throughout Kentucky. Some of them are kind of region-based. Some of them are time, like some of them, like, you know, it was called this thing for a rash of sightings at this certain time, and then the name changed over time. But we can date back the idea of a wolf humanoid in Kentucky back to at least the 1600s.
Oh.
When French settlers came into Louisville, and they brought with them tales of the Rougarou.
Oh, okay. That tracks.
And before that, there are almost certainly Native American legends of, there's stuff with skinwalkers, there's stuff with like wolf-like people or shapeshifters in general. But in terms of like these people, typically that's the beginning.
Yeah, well, shape-shifting has to be a thing that I imagine appears in basically every culture around the world, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Although I didn't think about the connection to the Rougarou, but that also makes a lot of sense, which the Rougarou is essentially a French werewolf,
Yes.
basically.
Yep.
Or Cajun,
It's
really,
a
right?
bipedal dog creature with a tendency towards violence to those who witnessed it.
Yeah.
And he knows how to cook up a mean jambalaya.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. They know all the secrets of the Creole flavor. And
Don't forget the shrimp.
so Cherokee tribes also in the area also had their own stories of a creature called the Limericken, which is a word borrowed from northern tribes to describe another type of humanoid wolf-like creature. And these all kind of have some semblance, some resemblance to what we now know as a werewolf, or in the cryptid world, a dog man, or I guess wolfman type thing, because that they're all like, I feel like a lot of this comes down to the fact that people have seen some weird big animal thing attacking stuff throughout the years, and they just call it whatever term makes the most sense to them.
Or a big weird man thing.
True.
Could be.
Giant sized or not. But this led me down. Okay, Kyle, you listen to all those history podcasts.
Oh.
This is a question for you.
Yeah.
Just the way you said that,
Kyle, you're
Kyle, you fucking listen to
Kyle, you're
history
a fucking
podcasts,
history
right?
freak.
Just throwing it off. You love history podcasts.
I do. What's up?
Are you aware of the werewolf trials in Europe in the 15th to 17th centuries?
You saying it invokes something in my memory, but I'm not sure.
This isn't a thing that I've really come across. Maybe this is a common knowledge thing that I just haven't come across for some reason.
I've never heard of this before.
I guess some people say before the witch trials to make it clean, but like throughout like 15th to 17th century Europe, there were cases of people being tried as werewolves.
You know what? I think I did run across this at some point in my own research.
That also is possible. You also have done, 300 episodes of a podcast about this kind of stuff. So maybe you've come across it elsewhere.
Are they getting tried for like what? Like stealing farm animals and shit
for
though?
being
You know
a
what I mean?
werewolf.
Like I know, but what kind of werewolf shit are they getting up to that they're being tried for? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
You know how like I'm saying the Salem witch trials.
Yes.
Those ladies were like accused of bullshit.
Have you ever
stuff.
seen An American Werewolf in London?
Yeah.
That kind of shit.
And they're also-
that's what I'm talking about.
and anytime you go in and they help you win the big game, they also are then tried as a werewolf.
Yeah.
Jules is looking at me with such a look right now. I don't think she was expecting a Teen Wolf reference there.
I hate you.
Yeah, no, and there's easy tests for these guys too. Like if you take like a bone and you toss it and they run after it and pick it up, that's a good test.
If you're a defense against the dark arts teacher,
Yeah.
you might be a werewolf.
Or if they're like getting a big dish of beef chow mein from Lee Ho Fook's, that's another
right.
good test.
That's another way to know if they might be a werewolf.
Kyle is wearing a hat one time to record and instantly dips into the fucking redneck humor. Blue collar comedy tour. That's what it is.
You might be a werewolf.
I started the
I
Jeff
know,
Foxworthy.
but he was
You
doing
guys
it in the
weren't-
cadence.
You weren't getting in it.
If you got a big hairy back and a long canine snout, you might be a werewolf.
So this is another thing.
Or a dog.
a dog or a
Just
dog
a dog.
man? Okay,
Nope.
that's fair. Because I like one of the things that got brought up a lot with this in sites are like the Beast of Bray Road and other kind of dog man like creatures.
You were on the Beast of Bray Road, weren't you?
Sure.
Maybe
I don't remember. I feel like Jules watched that with me.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe
goes
it was
in
I
one
watched
ear
the
and out the
documentary
other.
with
that.
you.
Okay.
Yeah, so
There was some that we did when you were
we
sick
watched
once.
a
We watched
Bigfoot documentary.
I was gonna say we watched some cryptid.
Okay, never mind. Forget it.
There might have been a Wolfman in
There
that.
might have been
I
a
don't fucking know.
Wolfman.
so
You think I listen to the shit you guys say when I'm on?
no, you just make jokes at us and then just walk out. And as soon as you leave this room, you don't even remember that you're on a podcast.
Yeah,
it
I'm
may-
actually wearing like soundproof headphones right now,
Yeah.
and what I say just happens to be
He's
lining
also
up.
got horse blinders on. It made recording the complex stories of, like, say, Jeff the Talking Mongoose really difficult.
Yes, very complicated. A very long editing
Yeah.
process whenever I'm on.
So this is one other thing in the region that I thought was interesting, but I cannot find the legend they're referring to. So if anyone for some reason knows like the name of this legend that I'm about to describe, send it to me. This was just like copy and pasted. You know how when you're doing research on like on this type of stuff, how like 16 different sites will all have the
Yep.
exact same
Yep.
thing copied? I kept running across this specifically, this
With
description
no-
of a legend with no
No
source,
source, yeah.
and through Googling a bunch of terms in this was unable to find it.
My way of handling that now is I just preface it with be like, hey, don't know what this is, but this is what everybody says.
Exactly. Like this is another thing that gets referenced a lot when you're looking at the werewolf lore of Kentucky. And that is a legend that speaks of a man who left Europe in the 1800s to settle in the area known as Between the Rivers, which will come up more later. This man supposedly possessed a disease that turned him mad after nightfall. This disease was supposed to be genetic and was passed from parent to child over the years. This led to the entire family living in seclusion, never going to school or socializing with anybody until one day they just kind of disappeared. And then in the early 1900s, supposedly some people went and found the homestead of like where these people lived, and it was entirely abandoned. So either they died off or they might have morphed into wolf people.
Okay.
I
Now,
could not find anything else about this.
where's the wolf people leap coming from?
I think because of the similarities between this and like a werewolf type thing of like at night time you go.
Oh, okay. But there's like other things that happen at night.
No,
Yeah.
you know how sometimes if you live in like an apartment building, your neighbors will just like unexpectedly move out, and all of a sudden the apartment next to you is empty. That's
Yeah.
always
That's
a wolf.
a
people
werewolf
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
If you're, hey, listeners, if you're living in an apartment right now and your neighbor moves out, you might have a werewolf.
Your neighbor might be a werewolf. You can edit this out.
Okay.
Mabim Bam definitely did a full blown Jeff Foxworthy doing "If You're a Werewolf." thing.
Oh,
They
fuck.
did that. So I don't know if you want to keep riffing on it or
All right,
not.
I'll stop.
The title of the episode is like
Shit,
Wolf
I
Foxworthy or something.
Didn't even
they
realize.
I
did
haven't
a
listened to
full-
that in a long time.
It's like from a few years ago,
Okay.
but
Shit.
they have done that an extended bit. I think it started as Dracula's,
Okay.
and then it turned into. So I'm just letting you know.
I guess the way we can resolve that is just like Griffin come on the podcast. We'll hash it out.
Come back and steal your bit back. Otherwise, it's ours.
Yeah, basically.
So, yeah, this man had some sort of undisclosed disease that caused he and his family to go mad at nighttime. And some people believe that is linked to the disappearance of this family is linked to some sort of feral werewolf humanoid that now lives in the woods of Kentucky.
Hmm.
That is as much information as I could
Okay.
find about it. I wish I knew what the fuck who these people were.
That sounds like some just local, like, gossipy sort of story that built up.
Mhm.
That's like some Sandlot shit.
Oh,
with
it's like the creepy house at the end of the lane
Yeah.
that all the kids avoid, and then rumors circulate. Yeah,
a werewolf might as well live there.
and hey, that's fine. The other place that this stuff usually gets brought up is by various fur traders, supposedly carrying stories both from Native American tribes and from different cultures of shapeshifters and again rougarous and all sorts of kind of legend of wolf-like humanoids that will kill you in the woods. So this is just like Kentucky was a hotbed for a lot of this kind of stuff in that time period. So that's how all of these different kind of, original myths and legends kind of mashed into what we now have as a cryptid in the state of Kentucky.
All right. Makes sense.
And another thing that kind of led to a lot of this was just mysterious cattle, bison, animal deaths in the area from some sort of being, and people tended to kind of mythologize it and make it into the work of some otherworldly creature instead of just like, a bear or something.
It's interesting because those kinds of mysterious like farm animal deaths, depending on your location, are either by a cryptid or an alien.
Yeah.
It's like entirely dependent on like where you are.
Is Kentucky too far north for it to be? Because I feel like a lot of the alien stuff happens in like Texas and New Mexico.
Yeah.
So it's like too far east and north for it to be.
Yeah, maybe.
We're in cryptid country, not UFO country, basically.
I guess so, yeah. I think that really is it. Cryptid country, it's going to be a Wolfman. And then although there is a tell with aliens where like there's like a surgical precision to it. And I imagine a werewolf would just...
Lots of gnashing
shredded beef. Yeah.
It seems... as an amateur, as a layman, that a lot of that stuff has to do kind of with like the places that have it in common have a similar kind of ecosystem or biome.
Yeah. No, I think you're right.
Hot, drier places, blame it on aliens.
Yeah, I think it kind of like puts this question in people's minds of like, well, what could do this in this area?
Yeah.
That is like, maybe a bit desolate might not be the right word, but maybe it is like, so like you think about like something coming from the sky.
Yeah.
You think something,
but like out in the woods and shit.
Yeah.
You're like, there's big shit. That
a
lives
beast
in the trees.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you hear different noises coming out of the woods than you would in a desert. And I feel like that, like the different geographical and like biome differences will lead you to your mind to fill in the blanks with different things.
Yep.
So let's get to our first actual version of a wolfman in this area, and that is the beast of the land between the lakes.
That's a mouthful.
Yes. So
they could have just called him Lake Beast.
A lot of times they call him Beast of the LBL, which is only slightly better, but we're going to use that for a little bit here.
Well,
this is the most mouthful of all of them.
Now he sounds like some sort of title.
Or,
what's that YA series about the people who work at the school all being different cryptids? It's like the lunch ladies of
my God. I remember
That's what
those.
it sounds like.
Holy
it does.
shit.
It really does. I forgot about those.
I don't remember what they're called at all.
That's one of those is seared into my brain though, because it freaked me out as a kid of like, I think like a teacher being an alien and it's kids peeking through a window and the teacher's like pulling a human mask off.
The
And
covers
there's an
are
alien
always
underneath.
like kids spying and catching the person.
Yeah, it scares me.
Yeah.
As a kid.
I totally forgot that existed.
Well, the beast of the LBL. That's
the beast of the LBL.
I just thought it was like that. It sounds like a Bigfoot that haunts a certain train line. This is the beast of the LBL as opposed to the beast of the A train.
Yeah. Man, those books scared me as a kid. Not anymore.
Creepy.
Do you think you could read them now? Do you think how many Goosebumps could you read without getting scared? As an adult human,
at least 2, maybe 3.
Okay.
I think scary stories to tell in the dark would still scare me.
Yeah.
There's certain episodes that were fucked up.
Reading, like, I think that would still scare me.
Yeah.
These ones though, and Goosebumps. I'm tough enough now.
Yeah.
I do remember getting like really upset at some of the Goosebumps endings because they kind of had Tales from the Crypt, like
moralistic kind of
stuff. Yeah,
where
like there's like some ending where somebody like you thought they escaped a situation, but oh no, it turns out they're still fucked in the middle of it.
They're like Twilight Zone-y.
Yeah, almost. A little bit.
Yeah.
Good old twist endings.
Oh yeah.
So the beast of the land between the lakes is a gigantic half man, half wolf that walks on 2 legs and has 5-fingered human hands ending in long, vicious claws. The creature is said to stand over 7 feet tall with massive crushing jaws and glowing eyes.
Classic Wolfman shit.
Yeah, you don't want to see that walking alone at night. That's scary.
So this is probably, as far as I can tell, the most famous local cryptid of this type, of like a Wolfman. Of all the Wolfman, this one reigns supreme in most people's minds. and is the most commonly referred to in this area. So a lot of encounters get kind of linked to the Beast of the LBL starting back in the 1970s. Now, some people have tried to link historical sightings of other things to this creature, but as far as I can tell, the first time that this name got used and linked as a single entity to a thing was in the 1970s.
Okay.
So, one of the most famous ones is the original, which took place at Murray State University, or it took place in the land between the lakes. They were Murray State University students in 1973. They were out enjoying the woods in the middle of spring, just made a fire, sitting next to their very age-appropriate, time-appropriate VW microbus.
Oh, yeah. I'm picturing
and
it.
just hanging out, you know? As the evening continued to draw on, one of the students went off into the woods to take a piss. And when he returned to the campsite, he told his friends that he felt something watching him and that he, quote unquote, had heard something sniffing in the woods. All of his friends just kind of, laughed it off and said, oh, it's probably some sort of animal or they said hog. I don't know if hogs are like super common wild hogs in the area.
Dude, chill out. It's just a hog. We got hogs all over this place.
It's hogs
Although
for days in Kentucky.
we had was Kentucky where they had the 30 to 40 wild hogs?
I don't remember where that was.
The only place I can guarantee finding wild hogs is on my DVD shelf. So,
Jeez Louise. Wow.
Testing me. You're testing me.
so yeah, no, we're in Kentucky, and
Resetting. So we're in Kentucky.
yeah, this kid came back from taking a piss, thought he heard something sniffing, and the student just continued, wouldn't let it go, and said it's not like anything I've ever heard before. And throughout the night, he continued to get more and more upset about it. Now, as the night grew darker and darker, they started to hear this kind of shuffling, moving sound out in the forest around them, seemingly like footsteps on leaves, And it seemed to be kind of circling their campsite and got faster and faster until it was just fucking circling the entire campsite very quickly. They started to shine their flashlights into the woods in the direction that they heard the footsteps coming from, but were unable to see anything. And then whatever it was started just howling very loudly in a just wild way that no one could recognize. Just this terrifying sound coming from around their campsite.
Very cool.
Yep. They described it as like a wolf, only much louder than any wolf could ever be, and with an unnatural, blood-curdling quality that made the howling sound almost like mocking laughter. And it seemed to come from everywhere around them, first on one side, then another, then another. And as this kind of progressed, they started to see glimpses and reflections of red eyes running past them in the dark.
This is but this is one Wolfman, or this is a pack of?
I believe this one.
How
is
many
just
eyes?
This thing was just booking it around them, so they kept seeing
So
flashes.
the eyes
of it.
were
Yeah.
running around. Okay.
And it seems to have a supernatural quality.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Kind of undefined supernatural qualities here. So the boys did what they could think of, and that was to go back into the bus, and they immediately tried to leave.
Okay.
Yes. They began just fucking booking it down the road, and that was when they realized they were being pursued. And a massive shadowy figure was just following them down the road. And as the bus slowed to take a corner, they felt this thing hit them. As if there was something that grabbed the bus and held it in place. So they floored it. They gave the thing everything it could, and finally were able to break free from the grip of this being. And they booked it down the road as fast as they could and didn't stop until they were back at the campus of Murray State University.
I feel like we've had stories of big monstrous cryptids coming to a car, attacking it or trying to whatever. I don't think we've ever had one that just straight up was just using Hulk arms to just hold a bus in place.
Yeah. So
that thing's got to be strong.
When they got back to the campus, they found these 4 deep gashes, from claws, torn into the metal of the engine compartment cover on the back of the bus. So this thing left tearing on the bus. So that's the most famous Beast of the LBL story. These kids went out in the woods and had a real bad time.
Well, you know that those 70s kids were smoking grass out there.
That's true.
Yeah.
They could have hallucinated
True.
the Wolfman.
I've heard that stuff was stronger in the 70s. That's what they all say, don't they?
Yeah,
All
I
those
thought it was
cool hippies.
I thought that was Coke.
I think it's all drugs. Boomers love to say that about any drugs that they took.
Jankum was way better in the 70s.
That's because it was made with piss from like pre corn syrup sodas.
Oh,
and stuff.
you only had the piss Jankum, dude?
Oh no, I'm saying that was just one component.
Oh,
you know?
okay.
It's just fermented piss. It's like a tapache, but with piss.
You're missing out if you've had only the piss strain. There's other strains that are worth getting into.
Yeah. Sorry, I started imagining just the worst thing that came into my mind was using like the wild yeast found in your urine to make like fermented beverages.
That's kind of nice.
And it just
That's gotta have been done by like a microbrewing situation, right? Like
Gwyneth Paltrow already trademarked
That's
that.
true. This is kind of
the cease and desist is on its way already.
This is kind of a goop situation.
out of all of the organizations that we've run afoul with over the course of the years, the first one to actually serve us an injunction is Goop.
This beer may or may not taste like my cock and or pussy.
Gwen
Jesus.
is extremely litigious.
I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah, we'll move on because there are a couple more stories of the Beast of the LBL that we'll get to. The next one took place in the summer of 1978. There was a person named Jan Thompson and her cousin Joe were the people that witnessed the Beast in 1978.
Hey, check this out. Sure, Jan.
Jesus fucking Christ.
We're really just putting you through the ringer today, aren't we, Jules?
It really is. It's like you guys agree beforehand whenever I'm on. Like, let's just drive
Yeah. Oh,
her
I'm
up the
sorry.
wall.
Niall messaged me and said, "Is it cool if Jules comes on the show?" And then in a separate chat, he said, "Okay, we're gonna fuck with her."
Yeah. We're gonna ruin her
Only
fucking day.
like the worst references you can come up with. And also let's see if we can squeeze in some sort of like urine fermented beverage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Meanwhile, I'm over here being so good. You
Oh,
said
yeah.
That's
you.
true.
This is all set in Kentucky, and you said Murray State, and I haven't brought up Chuck Taylor once.
yeah, not at all.
Oh wait, I just did. I fucked it up.
Save it
And
for
there's-
the other podcast.
Shit.
Yeah. Well, save your plugs. Save your plugs.
Yeah.
my
Wait until we
brand.
get to the plug segment, Jules, please.
So Joe was a big fan of riding dirt bikes.
Cool.
So he would go all over the forest trails and the land between the lakes.
Check this out, Joe Dirt. More like Joe Dirt Bike.
Was he like really into dirt? I never saw the movie. Was he into dirt bikes, or is that where his name came from, or
No,
Did
I
he
think
just is that his just his
I believe
name?
he was just a dirty fellow.
and
like a
also
dirty
that's
guy.
just his given name. It had nothing
it
to
is
do with
just-
him
okay.
being dirty.
Yeah, isn't that like a folk
I
tale
mean,
kind
good
of thing?
for him for embracing his namesake. If that's
At least I think it is. I don't remember now if that's like because he gets left by his family at the Grand Canyon, if I remember correctly.
Hey, anybody out there, if you've seen the film Joe Dirt, please email a synopsis to,
He's,
what is it? It gets
no.
weird podcast at gmail.com.
We'll watch it for the Patreon right after
Yeah.
recording the rest of this episode. It'll be good.
Joe Dirt technically counts as a cryptid, and you know, and like you know how it is where like families would get their surnames for like their
Yeah, like
Occupation.
Like Baker or- yeah.
and so his is I'm gonna guess dirt biking.
So this guy likes dirt bikes. I'm gonna get through the story if it kills me. He was out riding around in the land between the lakes, and Jan was with him, and I guess there was one other cousin with them, which was not referenced anywhere else. But they basically say that they could hear Joe's dirt bike fuck up. I don't know what sounds dirt bikes make other than like loud, but it's described as a
Is that what it
frantic
sounded?
whine.
Ah.
That was Kyle's really trying to find ways for me to not edit coughs out of the show. So
I want this cough on my permanent record.
so what it seems like happens is all of a sudden they heard Joe try to like drastically, very quickly change direction and take off in another direction. God damn it, Kyle. So he started to take the direction basically right at Jan. So quickly coming back to where they were sitting. And he all of a sudden came bursting from the trees, coming towards the house before skidding to a halt directly in front of Jan. And he just like was looking over his shoulder, constantly trying to see if something was chasing him. And then Jan explained what happened next. It says, "We followed his gaze, not understanding what this escapade was all about. In silence, we watched it with him for about 30 seconds, and then the dog started barking, growling, and then whining, trying to get out of the pen in a frantic panic of digging and gnawing at the fencing. It grabbed me. Look at my leg," Joe screamed, making us jump with alarm at the sound of his voice. We looked down at his Levi's and saw scratch marks going across his right thigh, scratches that tore through the denim and left small bloody marks on his skin. The marks were like a bear's claw rake, not those caused by branches or sticky bushes, but a definite wide pattern of a paw print. He said it walked on two legs and began to try to tell them the story of what happened. He was trying to get this out as quickly as possible. He was like panting and choking and just gurgling the words out as he was trying to tell them what he actually had seen. He says, it was following me through the woods along the path from the old sawmill, hairy. It was so hairy, and its snout was so long, and it walked on two legs. It ran on two legs. After he was done telling the story, a howl pierced the air, and it was nightmarish and unearthly. It didn't sound like any wolf they had heard before. And the dogs that were in their pen at the time were reportedly shaking and cowering in fear, staring at the forest. Then out of the trees came a creature that was unlike anything that they had seen. They described it as being huge, hairy, and walking on two legs with a long snout. And they said, when asked about the creature in other times, they were very clear that it did not look like Bigfoot. This wasn't a Bigfoot. This was a wolf man.
I love the idea of somebody telling a story like this, like I got attacked by a wolf man out in the woods, and somebody being like, no, that's a Bigfoot. And you having to be like, no.
This sounds like a Bigfoot scenario.
I would know if Bigfoot attacked me.
Yeah.
This thing did not like any sort of berries or nuts. This thing was pure carnivore.
Well, this is one of those things that like some people look at the Beast of Bray Road or like the Dogman type stuff and just be like, oh, that's just like a Bigfoot.
Right.
Because Bigfoot is like the big header for all of those things.
There are a lot of things that are run counter to what I would anticipate of a Bigfoot, such as being this aggressive.
And I was gonna say, are Bigfoots violent
Typically,
normally?
I don't think so.
Sometimes,
isn't it normally
but
they're just
not
doing their thing?
Usually from a distance, they will mess with you. And if you attack them, they'll mess with you. But typically, in very rare cases, they're typically not violent, I don't think.
Yeah, and
I felt like their vibe was more like if you came across a bear in the woods, like they don't want to fuck with you unless you fuck with them.
Or their kids. If you're around the kids, that's a thing. But yeah, they're very much like bears. This case seems much more outwardly aggressive,
like some kind of wolf man.
Yeah, like some kind of
like
Wolfman.
it could be some sort of Wolfman scenario and not a Bigfoot.
Starring Benicio del Toro.
Yes.
Wasn't he in one of those? Yeah.
Bigfoot, Wolfman.
The security light that they had on the driveway then turned on, and the creature was lit up. They started to see it more clearly, seeing these large black eyes, a very wolf-like appearance. And this is when all of the witnesses ran into the house to try to grab knives or weapons of any kind to arm themselves and try to hide from this beast. They then listened to the beast just kind of around outside their house for quite some time before eventually it did break one of their upstairs windows. The dogs were just barking the entire time.
Upstairs?
Upstairs. This thing from outside broke an upstairs window. It wasn't until their aunt came home in her car that the strange creature seemed to kind of give up and go back into the woods.
Doesn't like cars, noted.
Yeah, I guess like an outside person entering the situation.
Or doesn't like ants.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know.
Who does?
I mean, I like my ants. I don't think I have. Yeah, I like all my ants.
And if they listen to if they listen to this podcast, I love my ants. I love you both.
Yeah.
Both. I love you all. I have more than two ants.
Me, as soon as you are the sister of a mother, you suck. You just suck.
Damn.
Look, you got to draw your lines somewhere. I
I
understand.
have a good relationship with my aunts.
I'm an aunt.
Is that true? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I have a nephew and a niece.
Congrats. So yeah, this one thing about this area that I think is important to look at when we're talking about the beast of the LBL and maybe other werewolves is that this area has a lot of abandoned military bunkers.
So these are experimental wolfmen.
Well, if you believe certain accounts, those bunkers were used at a time when the military tried to hunt these creatures.
It just seems like such a waste of the military's time.
Probably. There are other theories that come with the military bases.
They already get to they already get to fucking hunt the most dangerous game in war, which is not so much a hunt.
It kind of is.
As it is a one-sided at least for us is a one-sided sort of
on this our 4th of July episode.
So I don't know, maybe there's something about the Wolfman that's like, it's good for training to kill a Wolfman.
Yeah. Look, if you can hunt down a Wolfman, you can hunt down a man.
Yeah.
They wanted to develop a Wolfman serum.
Yeah.
See, that's what I was kind of thinking. Is like, this is, they created these Wolfmen or something.
But I mean, if they catch a Wolfman in the wild, they would engineer it so that they could turn us into Wolfmen.
Oh, so these are pre-existing Wolfmen.
Yeah. They caught a Wolfman and tried to make a serum out of its wolf blood.
Right. Okay. Man, we got to dig deeper into this idea of Wolfman super soldiers.
Yeah, we definitely need to dig into the Wolfmen, the epidemic we're really in the middle of in fucking Kentucky. So there are a couple other stories that involve the beast of the LBL, but I wish that there was more detail with some of these regional cryptids like this, where you basically all of the description you get is just like, oh, it was a Wolfman, like the Wolfmen are. There isn't a lot of kind of history of this specific creature or like things to really. I mean, it's just accounts. Like there's just a couple accounts.
Yeah, and I mean, it just sounds like the history of this thing can just be directly derived from like older werewolf mythos stuff and legends and folklore. Like, so this is just, it just sounds like almost like a particular branch of lycanthropy almost, but it's like a more vague version of lycanthropy, because like lycanthropy typically is like, there's like a person that is known to change into this thing, whereas here this is just like a loose like wolf man. So I don't know.
Jan's story isn't quite done. I want to talk about the military base thing real quick, because it's like an interesting aspect of this that I don't see in a lot of other Dogman type stories. But the reason that the military base thing comes up is because Jan calls the cops. Jan brings in the police. She's like, hey, this fucking wild thing attacked my house, broke my window, scared my uncle, my brother. Yeah, uncle. Scared all my friends. Brother. And then disappeared. So they tried to track it down, and that led to, they searched all of this area that has a bunch of abandoned military bases, and they came upon a campsite. In the campsite, there were badly mutilated bodies of 3 of 4 campers that they thought were out there. That was a young couple and their child, entirely torn up.
Ooh.
They were even like half eaten by some sort of animal, with limbs missing, everything just kind of scattered around, marks everywhere. Just brutal scene.
Gonna be a PR nightmare for the military when the Wolfman serum gets out.
You can hold on to that.
Oh shit. So
people were brought in to look at all the remains and everything and try to figure out what kind of creature did all these things. They said some of the scratch marks and bite marks didn't match any animal known to inhabit this region. And authorities were still looking for the 4th camper, which was another child. Now, one police officer named Adam, with no last name given, went in to investigate, and about 50 yards from the campfire, they heard a scream. This basically turned into a wail. This guy was seemingly getting attacked. And as soon
Adam
as
was?
yes, the cop. And when the cops found where the screams were coming from, they shone their flashlights on it, and there was blood on this cop's face. He was holding his hat in one hand and his flashlight in the other. And there was blood all over his face, shirt, and on the brim of his hat, and blood was just dripping from him. And it was coming from above him. So there was blood dripping down from above him. And high in the trees, they put their flashlights up and saw some sort of, like, they saw like the end of a being running away.
Was it like some kind of Wolfman?
There was that.
About to ask.
They saw that, but then they also saw what seemed to be a leg just up in the tree, dripping blood.
This is the shit in horror movies that always fucking gets me like worked up. Is when something drips from above and the person like looks up like, oh, what's up there?
And
drives me nuts.
Yeah, so there's a foot with still a white sock on it, dripping, and also a hand or like an arm dangling from another branch from above, also dripping.
But this isn't Adam's arms and foot.
No, this is the missing child.
Okay.
Is he okay?
Adam.
The
I mean,
child?
Adam's
Yeah.
probably traumatized, and this child is of course
So-
dead.
Child seems dead as fuck.
Sounds
Yeah.
like it, yeah. Now, here's the thing. An entire camping family gets destroyed and violently, and an officer becomes traumatized in this way. This would be like a news story. Is there any...
So supposedly samples of saliva were found and sent for analysis and were found as being an unidentified species akin to a wolf. However, Jan states that a report was never made into the news or media, and it was covered up by local governments because it seemed to be a threat to the tourism industry in the area.
You
if
got a
word were to
classic
get out.
Jaws situation on your
Yeah.
hands.
Yes.
We have to keep the beaches open.
Yes. So that is, you got to keep the campsites open, even if wolfmen are tearing apart children in the trees.
I'm going to go ahead and say it's even worse than trying to buffer the tourist economy. I think that they're making sacrifices to that Wolfman.
Yeah.
You think so?
I
The
mean,
military or the
Both.
police or the mayor? Or?
Oh.
All the above.
Wow.
I do.
This goes to the very tippy top.
Yep.
Goes all the way
Who
to
was
the top.
president in 1978? I don't fucking know. Nixon?
Hopefully.
Is that way off?
I don't remember. I'm
Reagan?
so bad at eras of
Reagan was the 80s.
Yeah.
So George.
No one wants to pull on this
Jordan
thread with
Billy.
me.
I got
of
nothing.
Reagan is covering
I
up
don't
the
remember
Wolfmen
exactly.
in Kentucky.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what years, but
Okay, do the phone call to Ronald Reagan.
beep, 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 beep. Hey.
No, you're Reagan. I'm
Oh.
saying be Ronald Reagan.
Oh,
I want to hear your best Reagan impression.
I've done this before.
No, you do Nixon.
I've done Nixon, but I've done
You do
Reagan
Reagan
before
too?
because Reagan's all like, well, Nancy,
This is
we
good.
got a wolf man and the mayor of Kentucky is telling me that this could directly affect my tapioca supply.
This is good.
This
This
is
is a
pretty
good
good.
Reagan.
Thank you.
I
And
was-
that's the kind of thing he would have said.
Yeah.
He's
I was
into
gonna
like
say, Mr. Gorbachev,
Yeah.
tear down that wolf man.
he's like into oh god, he this could affect supply chain of blue cheese and pineapple or whatever the fuck it was I ate. Or I liked goopy things.
I
like
don't know.
goopy
Blue
food.
cheese? Oh.
Or is it blue
cottage
cheese?
cheese.
Cottage cheese is what I meant.
Yeah, I believe Reagan.
Sorry,
likes
Nancy.
Cottage cheese.
I forgot the type of cheese, Nancy.
She's gonna start putting some fucking Roquefort
You
on
wanna-
some pineapple.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he did though. There's like, I think that was him. You-
Cottage cheese. I think I've heard cottage
I
cheese.
do
about
believe he
Ronald
was, he
Reagan.
was some sort of freak who ate cottage cheese and
Meanwhile,
pineapple.
Nancy's just out there sucking dick. She can't hardly hear from all the dicks.
Which that's not slander. That was a thing that was going around recently.
I'm
The
just
throat
delivering
goat.
the news,
Yeah.
babe.
Yeah, this has been in the news. Therefore, us repeating it cannot get us in trouble.
Can't come back to bite us at all.
We're a
I'm
comedy
sure.
podcast.
Yeah. Man, wolves.
So Adam is traumatized.
Yeah, that's like the last big story of the werewolf of the LBL. They're just like generic reports of various campers, fishermen, boaters, whatever, hikers, seeing the creature over the rest of the years. But there's not like...
Are all the descriptions pretty similar? Because I feel
Seems
like
to be.
you said black eyes for that one, but the previous story said red eyes, I believe.
that has changed. And you can look at that in a couple different ways, whether it's like they're making it up or...
No.
There are different creatures, like the next one we're going to talk about, that could have slightly different characteristics. The beast of the LBL has red eyes, but the Barilla has black eyes.
You've piqued my interest.
Oh, you want to talk about the Barilla?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that like a no, quesadilla doesn't make sense there.
It's a bear wrapped in a quesadilla.
Yeah, I was thinking it was like
Taco
a
Bell, only
bear
at one
meat
restaurant.
quesadilla.
Speaking of, have you guys seen the fucking Cheez-It stuff?
I was
that
just
they're doing?
about to say I'm hungry, and I was going to ask you if the Cheez-It Taco Bell item is out.
No, it's only in one store in
That's
California.
Fucking
Damn.
stupid.
But you can get eventually,
What is
hopefully, there are two items. One of which is a Crunch Wrap with just a big Cheez-It in the
wanna
middle.
Eat that.
So instead of like
a giant
tostada,
no, like the shredded wheat that comes in the one big one in the box. It's a big Cheez-It.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know how in a Crunch Wrap there's like the middle like hard shell in the middle of it.
No,
Yeah.
You've had one before, but yeah, like there's.
I don't know the technology of how you engineer a Crunch Wrap.
In a Crunch Wrap, there's a corn tortilla in the middle.
Okay,
So it's a Crunch Wrap, but you replace that corn tortilla with a Cheez-It, a big one.
I'm really into this.
And they're also
This
gonna
is like
have-
my perfect food.
They're also gonna have some form of Cheez-It tostada. I guess.
This is seriously like this sounds like the most worthwhile diarrhea of my life.
That's right.
Like
The only-
I want to eat this so badly.
The only way they're fucking up is by not making an extra toasty Cheez-It.
I
Because
mean,
they're just categorically better.
The extra toasty, but some of them will be extra toasty because that's just what happens with
Hell,
Cheez-Its.
you could extra toasty it yourself.
I'm gonna see. Yeah, I'm gonna disassemble.
Yeah, you take it apart.
Garrett used to work at a
Toast
Taco
it
Bell. He
up.
could help
Yeah.
us out.
Yeah,
I'm sure he'd
just
know.
gonna.
Garrett knows
disassemble it.
the how to engineer a Crunch Wrap.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
Get him on the horn.
But does Garrett know how to find a Barilla?
I bet he does. If there's
I bet
anyone,
honestly, it would
I bet
be a
he
pretty
just
good
has
bet.
a sixth sense for that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah,
He
So-
just puts his finger in his mouth, sticks it up to the wind.
Oh, a
this way.
northerly wind is blowing. That means the Barilla is just west of us.
Yeah. So the Barilla, also known as the Gateway Werewolf, because
Oh.
it exists. It is found in the area located between the flatlands of the Bluegrass region and the mountains of eastern Kentucky.
No, it's because when you see a Barilla, it's a gateway into seeing
Yeah.
other wolf.
When you see a Barilla, you walk 360 degrees and walk into a gateway.
I understand the poll you were trying to make.
Good, because
You
no
walk-
one else will.
Yeah. But man, we're all a little
Sickening.
loopy today. So the Barilla was the first witness to go public with his sighting happened in 1972. And when interviewed by the media, he stated the creature looked like a cross between a bear and a gorilla, hence Barilla.
Oh, so not the quesadilla thing.
No Cheez-It Crunch Wrap.
Can
no
I
quesadilla.
guess which parts of each were what?
Which part was
Okay, head of a bear,
the... Uh-huh.
bot torso of a bear,
Yeah.
arms of a gorilla,
Ooh.
and legs of a bear, but feet of a gorilla.
I mean,
So it's mostly bear.
The most confusing animal anyone's ever seen.
so here's
And
how
it
it
has
is.
those
parts-
gorilla teeth.
Which animal part is the hog?
The Wild Hogs are on the DVD shelf.
Right. We
So
established this.
the way they describe this creature is that it has a white or silvery gray coat. It is close to the height of an average man, with its arms and legs being similar in proportion to that of a human. The hands or forepaws are said to have long, curving, sharp claws. The feet, judging by footprints, are said to be elongated and somewhat human-like, but with shorter toes and a configuration more like that of a canine.
This sounds like neither a bear nor a gorilla. I'm calling bullshit.
Silvery coat, the sharp.
Eat your
like,
heart out.
It has
James
some.
Goodall.
It said average height of an average man and proportions of a man. That's
Yeah.
more man than any other animal. This was just
mean,
some
fair.
guy.
No, because its most striking feature, according to witness accounts, is an elongated muzzle with large protruding canine teeth
Which,
and pointed incisors.
again,
So
that's
those gorilla teeth. So I nailed the feet and the
Okay.
teeth.
Yeah.
The rest of it, I was way off.
The description, they cite a lot of wolf-like characteristics, which is why it gets lumped into the Wolfman stuff. But the original sighting said bear, gorilla, and the press were like, okay, bearilla, let's
All right.
go. And that's how we got the name, which I think is really fun.
a bearilla does sound like some sort of like treat of some kind, like a not sultry, no, what's not the opposite of sweet,
Savory?
savory, like a savory sort of sweet meat treat that
A sultry treat.
it sounds
Yeah,
like some kind of like menu item at like an upper scale.
Kyle's hungry.
Yeah,
am
Kyle is hungry. We talked about Taco Bell for too long.
Yeah.
I see when you started talking about food, I thought you were gonna like be like, oh yeah, it's like Barrillas are like Dunkaroos for some reason,
No.
which is not a thing that
Yeah.
would be.
I'll
but that's
have
where I went.
I'll have a Barilla. I'm a Wolfman Supreme LBL style.
Extra cottage cheese.
Yeah.
And some pineapple. So these creatures tend to be a lot more aggressive than their more northern counterparts. I'm guessing that's referring to the dogmen of Michigan,
Mhm.
or maybe even some stuff in Canada. They don't specify, but they tend to be aggressive, especially towards humans. Two accounts specifically had actual attacks. They required treatment at local hospitals. The first report of the creature dates all the way back in Johnson County in 1944, when a teenage boy almost had to fight a barilla to death. So the boy had been fishing along a small stream, and you know how he's doing the old timey thing where he kept like all the fish like tied on a string,
Oh,
so he had like a full like
the
string of
sack,
fish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fish sack.
So he was preparing to leave when a wolf-like creature ran up to him from the creek bank and attempted to take his fish. He described it in the same way, about silvery gray, standing about 6 feet tall. The boy didn't want to give up his fish, but the beast overpowered him and made off with his catch.
Can you imagine caring enough about fish that you caught to fight a barilla
To
for
fight
it?
a creature you have never
Giant
seen
monstrous
before.
creature.
It is,
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like this. This horrifying like cryptid that you like. It looks like no other animal you've ever seen. And you're like, my first instinct is I'm gonna stand my ground.
These fish. Yeah. I like that it kind of understates the whole like he was overpowered thing, because this thing mauled him and took him down to the ground, and he was treated at the hospital for deep lacerations and shock.
Yeah,
So this thing like just fucking beat the shit out of a teenager
that's
in the 1940s, and that's the origins of the barilla.
It's almost like he should have just run away and let the thing take his fish.
yeah. He should
Poor
have
kid.
You should have just fucking like a fucking lasso and just thrown.
He
Yeah,
was
just
too
tossed it.
brave.
Yeah. Just let your fish go. No fish is worth getting mauled by a barilla. And that is the thing I will stand by.
That is good life advice.
Yeah. So the story
He
wa-
must have been feeding his ma and little sis or something. Like
Yeah.
they had no.
Yeah.
No
when you said
food to put
maw,
on the
I
table.
thought you meant like the
Like-
monstrous mouth.
Oh yeah, yeah, feeding his gaping maw.
Yeah. So this story wasn't actually made public for quite some time. However, it did leak out a bit at the time due to some attending medical personnel on duty. But the full story didn't come about until after the second attack in 1972.
Mm.
At Hinkston Creek in Bourbon County.
Ah.
So here we are. There in the early morning, a squirrel hunter was attacked yet again by the barilla. This thing came up on him from behind and like just straight up took him down from behind.
Yeah.
And
while
he
was
wanted
out
his
one morning.
squirrels.
Pause.
Yeah.
Squirrel hunter.
Yes.
They eat squirrel.
People eat squirrel.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
That's like a southern thing, though.
Yeah.
Is it good?
I
I've
don't
never
know.
had it.
It just
I've
doesn't
heard
sound
of it
good
before,
to me.
though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably like what would it be akin to? I'm not sure. I pictured like one of those little like game hens, but then I was like, that's not a bird.
Yeah, it's not a bird, but it is.
It'd be like a little chicken.
Now,
Yeah.
a little history poll.
Okay.
I do believe there was a time where we were so overinfested, maybe in the South actually, where we were so overinfested with squirrels that there was a straight up war between people and squirrels where they were just trying to mass execute squirrels. And it's a whole story.
Maybe this is lineage of that, and he was just trying to do it.
Yeah, maybe that's
Did
why
you
they
get
ended
this
up
from one
eating
of your
them.
fucking history podcasts?
I did.
I bet.
I did. It's a good one.
Yeah. So
Thank you for stopping me. I was gonna go off on a whole thing about like, what if a squirrel had wings? If it was like a little bird?
What if,
Just
Well, then
going
you could
down a
have
rabbit hole.
Hey, then instead of doing thigh stop, you could have done squirrel wing stop.
yeah.
That's what it'd be like. It'd be like a rabbit.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good pull.
But the problem is if a squirrel was like a bird, you might need to cover your face in a shawl to eat it to hide your shame from God.
Is this podcast the only podcast that references Ortolan at least once every
like
20
quite-
episodes?
yeah,
Your
Yeah.
one-stop shop
Yeah.
for
Which-
Wild Hogs, Ortolan, killing dogs.
It came for the weird stories, stayed for the Ortolan
Look,
content.
This was a thing that was just like, it was stuck in my brain like 2 years ago, and now I haven't talked about it in
Your
months.
friends reference you referencing it more than you reference it.
Yeah.
That's so true.
I haven't thought about Ortolan in like 6 months.
You made it your brand. Though.
I did.
6 months. So you thought about it this year.
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
But it was right on the beginning of the new year,
right. So you're refreshed. You get a pass.
Look, it was my New Year's resolution to no longer make Ortolan references. I didn't start off well into the
Just
year.
picturing you like waking up in the morning, you're doing your things and you just stop and you go, I'm gonna think about Ortolans now.
Just thinking about it.
Look, it's the only food that confirms the existence of a deity.
That can't be true.
I have had, dude. I have had like delicious lobster that's got me praying to God before.
We were
There's
just
no
talking
way.
about
But-
crunch wraps.
But
God
I'm not-
made crunch wraps.
I'm not saying the only food that is good enough that you think there must be a higher power. I'm saying the manner of eating implies the existence of a deity because you are hiding yourself.
You're right,
from
but
it.
I'm saying it's that I really meant that literally can't be true. There have to be other foods where it traditionally is like, well, like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there probably is.
Well,
but
I mean, just say like, how about body of Christ?
Yeah, you get a nice
Body and blood of Christ.
a
I'm
nice-
eating. I'm just eating that little wafer for nothing. No, I do
Yeah,
that
fair.
because it's the body of Christ.
Well, that's his literal body and literal blood being.
Yeah, so it confirms the existence of a deity.
Right.
That's the criteria.
Is Jesus a deity or is he like? I thought he was like a guy while he was here.
Well, he was, but a deity can just be a guy.
He was a guy, but now he's part of the holy
The Holy Trinity.
The Holy Trinity.
Yeah.
celery, onions, carrots.
and in certain cultures they replace the onion with garlic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it all comes back to Creole,
The
Yeah,
Father, the
yeah.
Son, and the Holy Celery.
So the second attack occurred in 1972 in Hingston Creek in Bourbon County. Squirrel hunter got fucking just like attacked from behind by this thing, and suffered deep lacerations across his back and legs. He said he only saw its hands and a few brief flashes of the rest of its body. However, his description also matched those of the other people. White or silver hair, hands that looked like humans, only with much longer fingernails than the hands were covered in hair. The creature supposedly then proceeded to basically like bounce him up and down is how he described
What the
it.
fuck?
I couldn't find a better description, but it seems like kind of like throwing him down and like picking him up and like,
Oh Jesus!
kind of like
Yeah, I feel like
he
you
started
see that
dribbling the guy.
in like cartoons. They'll have bears do that during
Yeah.
like, a
Yeah.
bear attack. That thing of like pawing down on the ground and then that's
Yeah.
really scary.
The victim stated that he could not think of any possible way he could have provoked the attack. He stated, "It just came out of nowhere and jumped me." So
Had
then
he caught any squirrels up until that point that day?
he didn't say.
It sounds like this thing's MO to steal people's fucking catch.
This thing's a bad hunter except on humans.
came up from behind him and then it stepped on his feet and started to punch him like a speed bag.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe that I was getting of like, he's bounced him like a basketball or something,
Do squirrel hunters have a little squirrel gun? Or
They've got like a little tiny rifle.
you only need a little one because the squirrel's so small.
Right. No, I'm agreeing. Yeah, I'm completely agreeing with you.
It's like a little hunt with a Derringer.
Yeah, they've got like a little tiny Smith and Wesson that they're just fucking. Is that a gun? That's a gun, right?
I mean, it's a gun company.
Yeah, and they're just fucking. I mean, it's about the length of their hands.
Yeah,
and it's a real challenge. They gotta tape a special squirrel shooting stick to their fingertip so that they can then pull that tiny little trigger.
Yeah.
True.
And get the tiny bullet to go into the little tiny heart of the squirrel.
Yeah.
And when the little tiny bullet goes in the little squirrel's heart, it shatters and explodes into. It's one of those kinds of bullets that, and like what the IDF uses.
Yeah.
Squirrel bullets literally go for the heart and then break its heart to kill it.
Yep.
Every squirrel
brutal.
dies of a broken heart by way of a bullet.
Yeah.
See, I was gonna say a real squirrel hunter only uses a Nerf gun with like thumbtacks pressed into the tips.
Well, I was just like, it has to be something smaller because otherwise a gun is just going to make a squirrel explode.
I was asking partially for that. So like this guy doesn't have some gun he can just shoot the wolf, the barilla with, which I take issue with the name.
I know it's not the best type of pasta. There's a lot of other versions out there that are better than barilla.
But I was gonna say, do they even have a gun, or
That's
do they
a
just
good
use
question.
traps?
Maybe they use like slingshots.
Oh,
seems like
traps.
slingshots.
Oh, a trapper.
But it
makes
seems like the
way
kind of
more
thing you would
sense.
set up traps and then walk through the woods and check all your squirrel
Or
traps.
a katana.
But a little one.
Like a, but a little one. A wakizashi, effectively.
Little kunai.
Yeah.
Oh man. Where the fuck?
I always make you guys go long too.
Yeah.
No, it's chill. I'm having a blast.
I'm asking the important questions.
You are.
Yeah.
Now, the only other thing that comes to mind with this creature is that it seems to have this uncanny ability to escape any pursuer. After an attack on the squirrel hunter, a local group of men formed an old-fashioned posse, as it was described in my research, and went to go find the barilla. Around dusk, the group, with assistance from hunting dogs, seemed to have cornered the creature in an old barn. Now, they set up outside of the barn to kind of, like, try to keep this thing treed. And when they finally attempted to enter the barn, the dogs cowered down and whimpered in fear. They waited until daylight to make any more moves, and the next morning the dogs rushed in without showing any fear, and the barn was entirely empty.
Cool dogs.
Yeah.
Kind of
if
worthless.
If your dogs are willing to go into the place of the barilla's not there, I think is the thing you learn there. Yeah. But they did see what looked like claw marks on the wall of the barn. And it seems like the creature had basically climbed up to the very top of the barn and just disappeared out into the night. I had no idea how it was seen. There were some...
I will say you said that the creature has an uncanny ability to escape despite being pursued. I'd say that's true of every cryptid you've covered on this podcast because I'm not sure if anyone's ever caught one.
Yeah.
Put it on display.
However, like a lot of them have an uncanny ability to not be seen. This thing seems to be seen and can just escape. There's not a big difference there. But that is how this thing gets described. So I was just, but I kind of agree with you. Every cryptid is very hard to
kind of like by
down.
definition, they're good at escaping because they're cryptids instead of just animals because they're
hide and seek king since
Oh yeah,
thousands of years.
That old bumper sticker.
Mm-hmm. You still see them around. So there have been some more recent sightings of the barilla. One took place in 1999 near Moorhead, Kentucky, when two of these creatures, a sighting of two of them, were standing in a clearing nearby Highway 60.
Just chilling.
Just hanging out, seems like. A couple that was going by probably on the highway tried to photograph the creatures, and both creatures bared their fangs and started to growl. And the couple ran away. They didn't try to actually get a picture, unfortunately.
Good. These two wolfmen had Y2K fever.
Yeah. So in the 1980s, supposedly the Ashland Cemetery in Ashland, Kentucky was a hotbed for sightings of this creature. It was seen running between headstones, jumping up the walls surrounding the cemetery, and all of the witnesses claimed this thing could jump like a motherfucker. It also had a habit of chasing humans, and at one point actually cornered 2 police officers who were sent to investigate a sighting. The officers stated that the creature came within 30 feet of them and started pacing back and forth between headstones, growling. Eventually, the creature got bored with just fucking with the officers and wandered back into the cemetery. There have been more sightings in like 2001, 2005, and I think that's 2005 is the last time this particular cryptid was seen, as far as I can tell.
Is it like a full-on report, or is it just like somebody saw it in 2005?
A homeowner turned on their porch light to investigate a strange noise that they had heard outside. He saw what he first thought was a child, but after he got a better look, he saw that it was definitely not a human child, at least. And he said it was about 3 feet tall, covered with hair, and having a dog face. And it
3 feet tall?
Yes.
So
this is a child.
Dog.
Supposedly it's on 2 legs. So
Oh, okay. Oh,
it's 3 feet tall, like it's standing. It's a little like humanoid creature with a dog face.
so it's a baby.
And as soon as the light was turned on and the guy saw it, it ran back into the woods. So we might be in a whole new barilla at this point. Since 2005, the young one might now be in full effect, and the old barilla has stepped down. I don't know.
He stepped down from his duties.
Yeah, from
Yeah.
his position.
Yeah. So there is one other story, but I think that might have to wait until a different episode. So we will cover that another time. But those are some of the more famous werewolves of Kentucky.
Wow. Well, Kentucky's down bad with Wolfmen.
Supposedly, I guess there's a lot of them. I didn't know this. This is not like we've done some other cryptids in Kentucky before. So I know that's kind of a hotbed for just like weird shit because it's woods and stuff, like a lot of backcountry. But I didn't realize it was werewolves.
Got to get down there for the Bourbon and Wolfman tour.
And then you can just take the Bourbon Trail back up to Indiana and come back home.
There you go.
My
And
parents took a bourbon tour and don't like whiskey. I don't know why they did. But my mom just started texting me about trying cherry Jack Daniels
And
one
Nile,
time. And I was like, why are you doing
why they took the trip. So I could send you those texts.
this? You might not be far off, frankly. So anyway, do you want to do a big question?
No.
Okay. Well, then let's
I'm
take
not
care of some
feeling it this
business.
week.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So the big question I got for you is I was fascinated by kind of the regional differences of cryptids and like where that might come from. So I want you to try to come up with your regional version of a cryptid from your home state and what would make it unique. So take a cryptid, figure out what the local version of that thing would be.
Ooh. That's a toughie.
Yeah. And I said home state, which like,
It's technically Ohio for me.
yeah, I don't know. Like that's
You
birth
get-
state.
you get-
What state do you call home, Kyle?
I mean, I would say Indiana's more of my home because
Yeah.
I spent the vast majority of my life growing up here.
We were born in 3 different states, though. If
Yeah,
you want to go with ones
that's
we
true.
were
I know,
born
but
in.
there also are more than one cryptid. So I figured if you can go either direction. But I'll come up with an Iowa cryptid. That works.
Should I do Indiana or Ohio? I've got
Whatever
one.
you feel.
Okay, well, I'll do both.
Okay,
Okay. And we got
'Cause-
some Pennsylvania over here.
Yeah.
sure. I guess canonically on this podcast, you guys more associate with me with New Jersey.
That's
but
true.
Yeah.
I'll go with my actual birth state instead this time.
Yeah. If I have to do Iowa, you got to do Pennsylvania.
Sorry, you guys can't make any jokes about the water in New York and shit.
That is my go-to. You're right.
No, that's your guys' thing with me.
I think the Ohio cryptid is like a wannabe rock and roller. Or just really into
But what cryptid is this?
this is the Jersey Devil, right?
Okay.
But he's like decked out in like rock and roll gear.
Okay. So you're taking.
I'm thinking about the Rock and Roll Museum.
Yeah, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
The Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So you're making a fucking aging rocker cryptid.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what is the kind of give me some descriptions.
Well, this Jersey Devil stands upright, first of all, on
Okay.
hooves, and then has terrible human arms and fingers and hands with which to play kind of outdated blues licks.
Okay.
And also to fashion, patches onto a denim jacket that has, Steely Dan, and things of that kind of in that kind of realm. Patches of that onto, they got Aja or whatever that album is on there.
Oh, some Steely Dan Asia.
Is Steely
Okay.
Dan in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I think they were inducted a couple years ago.
Okay.
But I'm
Yeah.
not 100% on that.
This guy could talk your fucking ear off about Led Zeppelin.
Cool.
And then the Indiana cryptid, I'm going to go ahead and say is Bigfoot. I think that makes sense for Indiana.
Okay.
It's a type of Bigfoot, but this Bigfoot has maybe burnt fur, like a burnt looking fur from constantly falling asleep on the Indy 500 track.
Okay.
And
Okay.
he's known to break into restaurants after dark and cook up a mean pork tenderloin.
It seems fucked up that for Ohio you took another state's cryptid that already has another
That was-
state in the
that-
name.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
that
was
Yeah.
Just
You made the-
stealing them.
You made the Ohio Devil.
but it's a variant, right? Like, so it's the Ohio Devil. So, like, the Jersey Devil can be a type of devil anywhere else, too.
Yeah, but he's a Jersey Devil because he was born in
That's true.
And this is
He was the
the Pine Barrens.
child born of
baby.
Satan that the mother tossed out the house.
That's right.
this one, and Kyle's was born during the Satanic Panic.
Yeah.
So that's what made it like
That makes sense.
the into the rock and roll music.
He
as
plays a
form
lot of
rebellion.
records backwards to try to hear them.
Yes. He wants to hear the secret messages.
So Iowa.
He loved when John Lennon said stuff about, "Oh, my sweet Satan." Sorry. I
Is that a
didn't-
real
Loved
thing?
it.
That's
Or is
one of
that
the
a-
things that's on one of the Beatles songs is you can supposedly hear that. But
Okay. I don't. I always forget which back masking things are real and which ones are totally fake.
yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and make Iowa.
I don't know anything about Iowa.
Well, you're about to.
Okay.
Because they're one of their largest things is corn production, and they have both ethanol made out of corn for cars, and also stuff for like corn syrup and shit.
That's
So I'm
exciting.
basically taking an atmospheric beast,
Oh, okay.
making that thing a big puff of corn
Oh.
syrup,
Oh,
like
an interdimensional weaving in and out of our reality corn syrup.
just like a
beast.
big flat floating puddle of corn syrup.
You know
in
that
the
weird
atmosphere.
shit that there were infomercials for when we were kids where it was like you got the little straw and like the putty and you
Yeah, yeah.
blew the bubbles out of it?
I do.
What was that
Oh,
called?
yeah.
I feel like it would
fuck.
have that kind
Oh
of
my
Yeah.
consistency.
God.
It
You
would
just
look like that.
I'm
unlocked
just
a
blowing your guys' mind today.
fucking ancient memory.
You know what I realized too
Oh.
actually earlier about the YA books I was talking about?
Yeah.
I think I was confusing the naming convention with the chapters from the Wayside School.
I think you might have been.
Sideways Stories from
Wayside,
Wayside
yeah.
School. Yeah, that one had like the janitor in the whatever.
Yeah.
It had like titles like that.
Yeah.
Anyway. Just getting them all out.
Yeah, I mean,
Magic Treehouse. Just
now-
how many can I name?
I really need to figure out what that, because I can, you know what, that when you mentioned the blowing bubbles thing, it instantly unlocked the smell of that stuff
Yes.
in my
Yeah.
to me.
Totally toxic.
Really toxic.
So like chemical.
Should not have been
Awful
fucking with
plastic smell.
that and like gack.
Yeah.
Should not have been playing with that.
Yeah. How about those markers that you like blow
Oh,
pens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're literally
Oh my
just
God.
encouraging you to inhale ink from a marker.
Awesome.
Just stick it in your mouth, kids.
Thinking about that in retrospect, along with like the thing where you basically are like casting metal into like little figures,
Yes. Yeah.
it's just like
We had some cool
here's
toys.
a big straw to suck up some ink, kid.
Yeah.
Deal. Don't blow.
yummy,
don't suck.
yummy.
Yeah. Fucking weird. Anyway, I had a blow pen like one, or maybe I used it one time for something.
I had a blow pen.
I feel like maybe it was either I had one or it was like a VBS type thing, because I had a lot of those things got turned into activities at Vacation Bible School when I was a kid.
I was about to ask what VBS meant.
Yeah, that was the first place I made the like cornstarch and water that's like solid and then liquid.
Mhm.
Mm.
That thing.
I've never actually done that, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and like so all that kind of stuff was just like, oh, this is a thing a bunch of little kids can do for an hour on like over the course of a summer. So that's where I did a lot of those kinds of things. But anyway, a big fucking puddle of corn syrup up in the atmosphere.
I like that.
See, you guys both used cryptids that already exist, which that's not how I interpreted the
Oh.
question
Oh,
when you
that
first
was
said
how
it.
that was.
Well,
the
but
tenth of
obviously
it,
that's
yeah.
what you meant. I started picturing because we're talking Kentucky Wolfmen,
Mhm.
and it was like descriptions of animals that would be common in the area.
Okay,
Basically,
yeah,
I was
yeah.
trying to think of like what animal creature would be in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you know
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I'm saying? But
I-
so help me try to tie it to an actual thing, because I was going to say chickens because or turkeys, because those both are the kinds of animals that you see, like you have to stop when you're driving on back roads in Pennsylvania. You have to stop to let them like cross the street, because there's so many farmers around who have chickens, and there's chickens just loose all the time in the woods and stuff. But also oftentimes growing up, like a whole flock of turkeys would just like go through my backyard.
Yeah.
And I used to have a recurring nightmare about one like breaking into the house and killing me, a turkey.
God.
So I was thinking like a turkey monster.
Okay.
Oh, like a turkey man or like
yeah,
a beast?
like man turkey.
Baja
Okay, so
Brittany.
here's a fun thing that we can do this or not do this, but there's a category of cryptid that are basically animals of unusual size or outside of where they're supposed to be. Hence, like the kangaroos in the middle of the city and stuff like that are considered cryptids by a broad definition.
Yeah,
So we could just have a really big fucking aggressive chicken
just a giant.
or turkey.
Yeah.
But because the first place my mind went is something that doesn't actually work for Pennsylvania, but is like, what if a chicken evolved to be like a chupacabra killer?
Yeah.
You had like a massive fucking beastly chicken that fought back against chupacabras, but that's not really a Pennsylvania thing.
What's a unique to Pennsylvania thing that you can infuse this chicken monster or turkey man with?
Amish country?
Is that true?
Amish.
Yeah. Amish.
There's a lot of Amish in
So
Pennsylvania.
this is a turkey monster that observes the Mennonite law.
There's Quakers.
Yeah.
Is also a
oh.
Pennsylvania thing.
What's fucked up is literally I went to like Quakers and Amish and then cheesesteaks. Neither of those are really good to cross over with a chicken
Yeah.
to make a fun cryptid, but unless you want to make a chicken cryptid that eats cows.
Yeah. No, I'm into that.
That's fine. Yeah.
Chicken cryptid. Hey, let's throw a little extra flair on this guy. Not necessarily a Pennsylvania specific thing, but I think you should wear jeans.
Sure.
Okay. We're gonna
Sure.
we're gonna address the thing.
I just think that like
What Kyle, what cryptid wears clothing?
are we counting the Flatwoods Monster?
Okay. Yeah. We could do that. The other one, I was just trying to think because I went to fucking Fresno Nightcrawlers.
I was okay. Check this out. How about this?
big long legs.
This is a thing that I don't think gets. This isn't even an idea that I've heard brought up in cryptozoology.
Okay.
Although I'm guessing somebody out there has some thoughts on this.
No, you're about to invent this.
Maybe the Fresno Nightcrawlers, which have local variants, I have heard. Maybe the chicken beast man of Pennsylvania has a symbiotic relationship with the Pennsylvanian Nightcrawlers
Okay.
and can wear them.
Like a mech suit.
Yeah.
Think about
I like
it.
that.
So it's using the Fresno Nightcrawlers as
Yeah.
long legs. Okay.
Yeah, extra long legs so it can reach the cheesesteaks that people put on their windowsills.
That is a Pennsylvania tradition.
Why
You're
did I
correct.
pick Pennsylvania and invite you guys in to do more dumb bullshit about another place that I used to live?
Man. So unless we have any other, digs at Pennsylvania.
I don't consider it a dig. I think it a great tribute.
I guess I could do the actual question. Just name any cryptid right now, and I'll do my Pennsylvania joke about it.
do a dog man.
It's like a dog man, but he quotes Benjamin Franklin.
There you
go.
Perfect.
But it broke the Liberty Bell.
Yeah.
So
It's like a dog man, but he invented firefighters.
A dog man that
nope, that's the best one. We're leaving on that one.
boom.
Dog man that invented firefighters. So let's go ahead and take care of some business.
Yeah.
If you want to follow more of the podcast, you can follow us on Twitter at IGW Podcast.
You can follow us on Facebook.com/ItGetsWeirdPodcast.
And we're on all your favorite podcatchers from Stitcher to Google Play to Apple Podcasts to Spotify. If you listen to podcasts somewhere, look up It Gets Weird, and we're probably there.
Email us at itgetsweirdpodcast@gmail.com. Tell us all about your local cryptids and variants that you'd like to see in your neck of the woods.
And the synopsis of Joe Dirt.
And the synopsis of Joe Dirt, because
we're going to go watch that right now.
I'm not IMDbing that or Wikipediaing that shit. Just send us a thing.
Kyle will only know what that movie is about if you tell him.
Whatever
it's now
you- yeah.
your responsibility.
Whatever you tell me in that email is exactly my belief on what Joe Dirt is to be in my head. So
send Kyle all your Joe Dirt fan fiction.
yeah, well.
And Jules, what would you like to plug?
I am the co-host of a podcast called The Outside Dive. When is this going up? Is this Sunday?
Yeah.
So this week is actually a perfect time to get into the podcast. Nile is my other host.
Hi.
And there was recently a large crossover pay-per-view in the wrestling company that we watch. It's a wrestling fan cast. And this Monday, July... whatever the date
4th
will
of July.
be. Is it 4th of July that ours is going
is.
up? We will have an extra large episode covering Forbidden Door, so it's a good place to get in if you are interested in checking out a wrestling podcast that mostly covers all elite wrestling.
We had a listener email us mentioning wrestling, and I know they said
Jordan said WWE. Now, Jordan, Forbidden Door is a great place to dip in, actually.
Yeah.
And
check it out.
this Wednesday's episode, Blood and Guts, is I think a
my
good
God, it's
intro
crazy.
point if you're interested in all elite wrestling.
This latest Dynamite and the pay-per-view were huge.
Yeah. And we cover it all on the Outside Dive. You can follow us on Twitter at Outside Divecast.
Hell yeah.
Look out for us on all major podcatchers. So,
I guess I should mention patreon.com/it
yeah.
gets weird. $2 tier, $5 tier, you know the spiel. I'm going to do a little short one this time. Please donate to the podcast. If you can't, please tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your congressman.
all right. Thank you all for listening. This has been It Gets Weird. I've been Nile.
And I'm Kyle, signing out.